Story 1. A lot of people will tune out. Unfortunately, that is exactly why they flood the zone with misinformation, to get people to disengage. Story 2. I'm not going to follow every single bit of news that comes out. No one should subject themselves to that. Stay informed, but don't fall for endless scrolling. It's meant to stress you out until you become numb to it. Just keep up with what you can. You don't need to hear every news story. Remember, it's not about doing things perfectly. It's about taking action. Focus on what's important where you can. Correct misinformation within your circle. Don't worry about the negativity on forums. Take care of yourself, then reach out to the people you care about. Offer and accept support with a generous spirit. Do what you have the capacity to do. Story 3. I wish Reddit had a way to filter the words Trump or Musk from headlines so I could ignore much of it. I am not American, and I just want to see less of both. Story 4. I knew it would be difficult when Trump was elected. I just didn't know what specific form that negativity would take. I'm a bit exhausted with the news cycle. Trump is in the news every day, just like last time he was president. I don't understand why Americans would want that. How are they avoiding the news? It's everywhere. I tried unsubscribing from every US and news-related subreddit. But even then, there were leaks into other subreddits. When I switch on the television, it's news about Trump. When I look at my phone, there's news about Trump. I can't escape from him. Story 5. I installed an extension that removes any articles or paragraphs about Donald Trump. Unfortunately, if he is not specifically mentioned, I still see the article. As an Australian, I honestly can't get worried about him because apart from boycotting US goods, there is nothing I can do. I spent 4 years last time thinking he went too far and watching him wiggle out every time. He is not worth thinking about. Story 6. After 4 months, it's not good. I left the United States in 2021, and all I do is stress about people back home. Story 7. I find it hard to believe that the American people, regardless of their political affiliation, will allow the country to implode. Story 8. I stopped looking at the news 8 years ago, which may sound pathetic to many, but I cannot handle how the world and media portray people. I will stay in my house, as I cannot leave due to my immune system, and let my husband provide me with information he thinks I need to know. Story 9. Not good. I'm already tired. I have to push through, but I admit it's tough. I'm nervously looking at the exits, unsure if I have enough money to reach them. Story 10. Generally, as good as it is now, even when he was out of power, Trump still dominated US news. Most Americans are going about their business as usual. It is the executives who are hurt by the tariffs, and the firings represent only about 1% of the 5 million people who work for the government. I have already reached the point where I talk about tragedies and violence in an overly cheerful voice. My friends and I have had a yearly disaster bingo since 2020, with a $20 prize for whoever is best at predicting the new disasters we will encounter this year. Story 11. As a non-American, the world turned before us and will continue to turn after us. Humanity is not the pinnacle of existence. Will it be challenging while we are here? Yes. While this planet has cycled according to the fixed law of gravity, from such a simple beginning, endless forms, most beautiful and most wonderful, have evolved. I believe in people, not governments. Story 12. I see America as a friend who came from a sheltered, stable family life. When there is a ripple on the water, it rocks the boat and sends everyone spiraling, while the rest of the world remains indifferent, as they have experienced hardships and continue to move forward. Story 13. News does not bother me. I intentionally stay far out of the loop. It is all the other aspects of life that I worry about. However, I am hopeful that my mental health will improve. Story 14. Stick a fork in me and call me done. Humanity went off the deep end with COVID 5 years ago, and we still haven't recovered from that. Story 15. I am not American, so I have that advantage. However, everyone has been overly concerned about Trump for over 10 years, and we are still here. I turned off the news, and I am doing fine. Story 16. I will be honest and say I sometimes feel like opting out of life, but I will fight to live and find joy in spite of it all. It is important to avoid falling into despair while staying informed about what is happening. Story 17. Just fine. Thank you. Imagine allowing politics and the news to dictate your mental state. That couldn't be me. Story 18. I believe your title is misleading at best. It is not the news cycles that are destroying my mental health. It is witnessing the decline of America by the traitors, sycophants, and liars in power. Place the blame where it belongs. Story 19. It is better so far than the previous 4 years. Thus it has helped my mental health. So far, these 4 years are off to a great start. A person can control their consumption of news and avoid the vast majority of it. If someone finds it bothersome at an unhealthy level, they should limit their intake. Story 20. Switch off the news and go for a walk outside. It is just noise and it will pass. The world will keep turning. Story 21. I'm sorry, everyone. I give up. I have started blocking every political and negative thing I see on my main feed. Story 22. I stopped watching the news daily. The focus on negativity creates a pessimistic view of the world and generates a lot of anxiety. Reports are often based on what will generate higher ratings. The world isn't as bad as it seems. You just don't hear about the positive aspects from most media outlets. There is an interesting book titled Factfulness that explores this phenomenon in depth. Story 23. TDS is in full effect. It will be beneficial for those individuals with psychology degrees working in low-paying retail jobs. They can start a practice with all the new clientele entering the market. Story 24. I pay no attention to the news cycle because I cannot determine when I am being misled or when someone is expressing such bias that it is unbelievable. This may mean I will still hold the same views in 4 years. Story 25. The constant news cycle of misinformation and chaos came to a halt in July. It was quite exhausting by then. I suppose it varies depending on the country you live in. Story 26. I keep thinking I am about to have a heart attack at any moment or develop ulcers. I am already not sleeping. It is currently 4 a.m. Story 27. You should focus on your physical health instead of worrying about your mental health at the current rate. Story 28. More pressing is whether I will survive. I am probably dying. I am not sure, though, since healthcare can be a financial burden, and currently, death may be preferable to dying in debt. Story 29. Living just under 1,000 miles away from an active war front, where my neighboring country is harming civilians and soldiers, kidnapping children, and destroying entire cities with bombs and artillery, has been ongoing for the last 3 years. This reality puts many things into perspective. Story 30. It's the pressure of simmering rage and existential dread that's getting to me. So, driving home today, my daughter and I let out all the noise we could muster. It helps. Find a release. Don't hold on to this. Story 31. I was thinking about this yesterday. I wish I could just tune out, but I know I will not. It will probably make me age faster. Story 32. I only care about my country's politics and the Austin Metcalf case, and how people can defend Carmelo Anthony, not the basketball player. Story 33. I have been trying to binge-watch Kimmy Schmidt again, but this time nothing is working. My anxiety is high. Story 34. I am mostly tuned out, but information still trickles in through conversations with other people and what I hear in public. It makes me want to move, preferably to a country where I don't understand the language. Then I will take time to learn it so I can recharge mentally. Story 35. Why anyone would sacrifice their mental well-being to stay updated on current affairs is beyond me. You don't have to keep up with any of it. Ignorance is bliss. And I say this as someone who actively avoids the news. Story 36. I have had to deactivate Facebook and now Instagram because Trump has made it unbearable. Story 37. The only positive thing that I see is that it is making Generation Z and the older Generation Alpha aware of what is happening, and hopefully it encourages them to vote in every future election. Story 38. I'll be okay mentally. I practice radical acceptance and I've already lost a lot. Even if I am jailed, I believe I am very strong mentally. Unfortunately, I am not physically strong. Story 39. Which news cycles are you referring to? Or are you talking about general news? My mental health is not great, but it's not due to the news. Story 40. Anything related to Trump used to trigger me to drink. I had to change my perspective on it all. Story 41. Just fine. I don't understand people saying that reading the news affects their mental health. Am I going to get upset? Yes. Am I going to be angry often? Certainly. But am I going to have mental health issues? No, that's separate. Emotions are not the same as mental health. Story 42. With him wanting to annex my country, it is not good. I am sure he will try something, perhaps a false flag operation. I am already struggling with college, and this situation is just the cherry on top. Story 43. I own a small business that employs 4 people. I am terrified. I am meeting with my bank today for a strategy session. I had a terrible dream last night. I was walking through a rural area not unlike where I currently live. A massive flood had just occurred, but the waters were receding. Bodies were everywhere. There was no help, no authorities. It was just me walking along a muddy rural road with bloated bodies in the culverts alongside the road, in the fields and in front yards. Children, men and women. I woke up feeling really anxious. I have been having more and more awful dreams lately. Story 44. It's already crumbling, and I'm taking it out on everyone I know. I think I may develop an extreme dissociation from reality. Either I will go mad or transcend the boundaries of physical existence like some kind of Tibetan monk. Story 45. Between the pain I experience every day since a drunk driver injured me and watching my country and the world being torn apart and brought to the brink of war, you could tell me I am being checked out tomorrow, and a part of me would consider it a true mercy. Story 46. My news feed is already saturated with constant headlines about Trump and Musk. I am selecting the ones that are relevant to me and hoping the algorithm relaxes. I anticipated chaos because the same thing occurred during the first Trump presidency. His second term seems to be shaping up to be significantly worse, and I fear that many people in this country will never recover. Story 47. I've already had to tune out. I think something has to change before 4 years is up. This can't last 4 years, can it? Story 48. If you want to get rich in the stock market while most stocks are declining, consider investing in American antidepressant manufacturers and European arms producers. Story 49. The real question is whether Americans will be able to lift the cheeseburger bucket for their superiors after the embarrassment of losing the privilege of holding it while they determine how to punish them. Story 50. Honestly, I think my mental health was worse before the election. The constant state of uncertainty was overwhelming. Now I know that the majority chose authoritarianism. I almost hope they experience the consequences of their choices. Perhaps a few years of facing the reality of their decisions will convince people not to support those who harm others. Of course, I recognize that I say this from a place of privilege. I am not a woman, a person of color, an immigrant, a member of the LGBTQ community, or part of any other targeted group. I am not disabled, a senior, or reliant on assistance. The only challenges I face are being an atheist and a progressive, but I can navigate within those identities. The next 4 years will impact my finances, and they will affect many people I care about, but I will endure. At this point, I hope it only lasts 4 years because they are doing everything in their power to prevent fair elections in the future. Story 51. I know that if this sort of thing starts happening in Europe too, I will start keeping a pill handy, just in case the leaders decide I have spoken the wrong thing and send me to the death camps. Story 52. I watch my news through memes, John Oliver and Stephen Colbert. I'll be fine. If I can't laugh every 15 seconds with these news clips, I'll go insane. An actual article is depressing. Rest in peace, America. It has been a good run. Story 53. I honestly think if the last 4 years of news were more positive about Biden than negative about Trump, he wouldn't have won. Story 54. There is no clear time frame for this distressing situation. It will only worsen. All we can do is adapt or resist. Story 55. I may not survive. I only managed to vote in the 2020 election and was heavily influenced by the conservative views prevalent in my area. Thankfully, I had friends who helped me break free from that mindset, but my parents are set in their beliefs. Even if they weren't, my family wouldn't have made a significant impact in my state. I have medical complications and am struggling to make ends meet. In the new America, I fear I could either be harmed for expressing dissent or suffer from starvation and health issues as my resources are stripped away. Alternatively, if circumstances worsen quickly, I might gather the courage to end my life on my terms. Regardless, I have realized that I feel like a burden and of little value since I cannot afford to protest or fight for change, as I can barely afford to survive. Perhaps one less burden will enable those who can to effect change. Story 56. The fact that this individual is going to remain embedded in our minds every day for 4 years is maddening. I don't even want to consider someone I like every day for 4 years. This situation is nationally traumatic. Story 57. Are we really this fragile? Doom and gloom news has been around forever and has no bearing on my mental health. If anything, the latest events show how obsessed we are with money and capitalism. When it shows the slightest sign of not working as we imagined, everyone loses their minds. The stock market took a step backward, and the United States elected an incompetent leader. Life goes on. Story 58. I think I will be dead by then. Either the rabid supporters will take me out or I will. It is not a safe time to be in a conservative area. Story 59. I am fine, thank you. I am enjoying watching the wheels come off America. It is entertaining to see it learn a much-needed lesson. Story 60. I gave up drinking on April 2nd. I am going to get back to exercising and start fresh. I will likely delete my accounts with Reddit, Facebook, Instagram, Messenger, and Twitter, although I haven't used Twitter since Elon Musk took over. I do not watch television at all. My television is a PlayStation 5 device. I haven't read a newspaper in decades. Story 61. Not well, Deus Fax, not well. In fact, I don't trust anyone whose mental health is not shattered. We all know the saying, if you're not outraged, you're not paying attention. Story 62. A month's negativity can be canceled out by 1 day of therapeutic protest against the fascist takeover. Don't just be a bystander. That's how dictators win. Face the news with courage, and then do something positive with how you feel. If you're angry, sad, or depressed, take action. Use that emotion to fuel your resistance. Story 63. I'm doing great. In 4 years, I will be even better. I don't watch that content on television. It's all misleading information, pushing a narrative. Story 64. Remember the Second Amendment of the American Constitution? It is the right you defended even through all those school shootings. It's time to use it for its intended purpose. Story 65. This is exactly why he lost last time. People were sick and tired of his behavior. He has intensified it this time. It's exhausting, but that's likely intentional. Story 66. It will likely be just as good or better, depending on how I take care of myself. I also have strict boundaries on when I watch the news and from which source. I probably would not have handled it 4 years ago as well as I do now. Story 67. There's news? That's news to me. I just tuned out. It's clear that no one with actual power is in significant disagreement with what's happening. Until someone steps up and proves otherwise, providing a tangible connection for a movement to lead change, I'll stay home and build things for wealthy individuals because they don't care about the news either. Reminds me, I need more sandpaper. Thanks. Story 68. I don't think we will experience 4 years of this. Either it doesn't stop after 4 years or hopefully it stops much sooner. Story 69. I've learned to distance myself from stress related to things I can't control. Whether it's one dictator declaring war in the neighborhood or another disrupting the global economy and security structure, absolutely nothing I can do will affect those situations, so why waste my energy worrying about them? Whatever will happen, but in the meantime, I have a life to live. However, I may get banned from more forums because I don't hold back when discussing these issues. I was already banned from a news subreddit, so that's a consideration. Story 70. I'm transgender and living in Texas. My mental health is non-existent. I feel scared and anxious. Story 71. Considering I fall into one of the top groups on their list, I feel terrified daily. I am not even American, but this rhetoric spreads to other countries. I often see people with Make America Great Again hats, and our politics are mirroring American politics. I also have friends from the same community who are in the United States. Not all of them are able to flee. Story 72. The current headlines are the preludes to murder-suicides of entire families, as well as mass shootings. The headlines since the inauguration will seem like a holiday compared to what we are likely to see by July of next year. Having said that, I expect my mental health will deteriorate by January 20th, 2029. Story 73. Worse than the influx of illegal immigrants committing serious crimes? Biden has been a complete disaster, and it has been confirmed that he is out of touch. Wake up, people. You are still being manipulated by wealthy individuals. Turn it off. Story 74. My mental health will hold up as long as it needs to in the intermediate term, but in the long term, I don't think the shame will ever truly leave. We somewhat deserve whatever happens at this point. Story 75. Meet in person with others who are upset about Trump. Maybe do it on a weekend to enjoy some fresh air and take a walk while you are at it. You will feel better. Story 76. I pay too much attention, and it has certainly affected my mental health. I haven't been able to see a light at the end of the tunnel, no matter how many hypothetical situations I invent. The protests on Saturday gave me the hope I needed. People are starting to pay attention, and now that the wealthy and Republicans are feeling the impact on their finances, I can envision scenarios where we overcome this tragedy in the White House. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.